So you'll
Right.
start things off with Creed 2, right? So, well, if you don't mind, Ricardo, you could just, well, fill us in on what the movie is about. But before we do that, um, Creed, the first Creed, we talked about it on season one of BSB Tabili. We totally loved the movie. We made it to our top 10 list. I actually rewatched it prior to watching Creed 2. The movie still got many feels. Yeah, swear to God, waterworks. We just the acting was superb. Sylvester Stallone was robbed. He was robbed. He should have won an Oscar for playing just such a
Thing is,
sympathetic portrayal of Rocky Balboa. But it was
yeah,
just
I,
everything worked
I,
for that.
I wasn't mad because Mark Rylance, I think, won that year. Um,
Yeah, but I mean, in Bridge of Spies, I mean, I enjoyed Bridge of Spies, but his character was like, yeah, he was there and he say some words to Tom Hanks, but come on,
right.
man. I mean, it's
Big,
Stallone, but
right.
anyway, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, but everything just fit perfectly, right? Whether it be Ryan Coogler as the director, right? Tessa Thompson, Michael B. Jordan, who just killed it as Adonis Creed. Uh, of course, Stallone himself, and just everything just came together. Whether it was the directing, the acting, the
Yeah.
performances. But to me, the secret sauce, though, and this is the reason why. Is the reason why when I watch it, Waterworks, that music by Ludwig Göransson, who, by the way, who did the score for Black
Okay.
Panther, and I should have known from there because he always has this sort of orchestral vibe going on, but you're kind of mixing a little bit of hip hop drums and whatnot, which he did with this first movie here. But the music for Creed, boy, is just so majestic, and like I said in my last review for Creed, it has this spaghetti western kind of Ennio Morricone kind of influenced it. But like when I was hearing it, boy, I was just like elevated, boy. It's like the movie just elevated for me every time the music played, every time that theme song played, and it was just swell, and it's just emotions, and I don't know, I just couldn't help it. I was like, no movie, you're not gonna break this. Creed is about Rocky. It's within the Rocky franchise. These things are corny. Don't make me cry, Jen. And it did. It just broke me. But in a great way, of course. So, yes, I would say that Creed is absolutely one of the best movies in the Rocky franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really
I've,
kind of resuscitated the franchise. And
yeah.
most importantly, which we'll talk about with Creed 2, it shifted it away. Well, though we could argue Rocky Balboa did it years before, but shifted it away from being, the cheesy 80s propaganda piece that was like Rocky 3 and 4. And
Yeah.
it just set a new standard for the series. It, gained new. It was basically Rocky for a new generation, and that's what I loved about it. It was a soft reboot, yes, but it paid tribute to the movies that came before it, and it just kind of opened the doors to a new just a new future in terms of this character and this story. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. I think this is actually in my personal favorite montage in all of the Monkey franchise. Uh, with this Creed, how they did this, how it built up,
Yes.
how that worked, and how it was just edited and play and pieced together. And
Or you
well,
talk about when Michael B. Jordan was running and
yeah,
the guys in the
it's like,
ATVs. I love that. Like when that music kicks in for that, like right after Meek Mill's piece, I was like, all right,
yeah,
sure, you're doing it to me. You're doing it to me. You're getting me right to the feels here. Well, just loving this.
it's such a great scene when the camera spinning around him, he doing the machine punches, and then the camera cuts
Yes.
and goes cut and then zooms up to Rocky
Yeah.
in the window. And I was like, yeah, this is like next to perfectly done now. It's such a great take how it was played out now. Um, and yeah, for me, yeah, it was such a great revitalization of the franchise, especially following up from the events of something that was it's supposed to be kind of corny 80s jive stuff. What it does, it subverts the Ronald Reagan era aesthetic now and say, okay, look the dark side of that. This is what this happened in the shadow of that, and it works.
Yeah.
Um, this movie follows up from this. We're going to talk
Yes.
about this movie now, Creed
Yeah.
2. Basically, so it follows up on the events of, well, Creed. He now, with his first big fight, he becomes champion. And basically, the follow up from, well, the big event that kicked it all off. Um, Drago, right? The Drago
Yeah.
family. Ivan Drago and his son is back in the picture, and they basically challenge him out in the open. And again, due to boxing hype and the history and the unfortunate history of that, brings in the narrative of but him having to quote unquote avenge his father, and they get into ego and all of this kind of stuff and make it work.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Right.
I will admit I do not like this movie anywhere near as much as the first. It's not a bad movie, but much like I give that a very high score, this one loses a couple points, and for one very simple reason: this movie suffers some pacing problems. Um,
Yeah,
I
I'd agree. I'd agree. Yes.
I don't think the script could use a little bit of improvement, but then I didn't hate the script entirely in terms of like the justification and for why he needed to fight Drago necessarily, because everything is about the ego and him having to address ego. But the problem is because it had not particularly good pacing, I couldn't buy why he doing this going forward. And they do a
Yeah.
bunch of extra storytelling option stuff, and they do a bunch of extra like world building stuff for his life. They do this, and this character happens to this character, and this big important event happens, and that big important event has a more important event involved in it, involving the legacy of another character. And again, all of that is fine. If they pace this stuff better, I would enjoy this movie for. I didn't mind anything in the script. I thought the directing is actually pretty good, because they got it wasn't Ryan Coogler, it was
No,
somebody, I forget.
they got Stephen Capel Jr. Who
Uh,
well, I think this is actually his second film.
right,
And I thought for the most part he did a great job. Like
right. I
he
thought this
it's
was
sort of filling the
yeah,
shoes of Ryan Coogler.
yeah, it was pretty solid direction overall. But just the edit is the problem. It just needed better pacing to address out, because the strong pieces are strong. Like when they have some great strong moments, especially involving another montage involved in the desert, which I loved.
Yes, yes, yes.
I thought it was good actually.
Yeah, really,
Uh,
really love that actually.
and
I was
right, so when
waiting for that moment to come. Till I was like, all right, maybe it
yeah,
might hit many feels as much as the training montage in the first movie did,
right,
and no, it didn't. But I still felt it.
it's still
Still
good.
felt it in
Yeah,
my
it's
heart.
still pretty good. I still like what they did with that, especially that this great one running shot with him just
Yes,
running. Yeah,
love that. Yeah,
yeah. But no, what I had an issue with is that they should have. Well, I don't think it needed a script rehaul or anything like that. But what I mean by it, this needed more fleshing out and time building up is the Drago character, Ivan, and his son. They needed to flesh that out more. I had a hard time again because it had these big emotional beats that should be there, but it didn't feel earned. And that was my problem with this. All the big emotional beats, especially involving them, didn't feel earned. So they just bring them in, then they just reach, and then they this thing, and they just jump with time. But I didn't feel their struggle. We only hear what they're talking about instead of seeing. And it's a hear don't see situation, right? And that's the problem with this for me. That's the biggest problem. They didn't flesh out Drago, right? They could have already showed Drago the other side of that and make you feel for that. They had him talk a lot about him, so you could interpolate what went on with him. You know the history of Russia and what went on with the Soviet Union. Soviet Union fell almost immediately, and it had a lot of big economic and political fallout from that. We should have seen that, right? In fact, now remember I said you don't need to rehaul, but in fact, if they did a complete rehaul and just showed Drago's almost entire story from his context going to take down Creed, that would have been a whole story. That could have been a great film as well. But they didn't really do that because they still needed to make a Creed film, which I don't mind because a lot of the big emotional beats there is good. I like that, but it just didn't gel the way it could have. Especially coming down to the end, which is a great emotional scene. I really like what they did there involving a towel, but it didn't feel in my opinion.
yeah,
I still really like this movie though. They have a lot of great stuff, especially involving Bianca. Thought what they did with her, especially that last sequence with her was pretty awesome. I
yes,
thought that was kind
yeah.
of,
I was like, why did you do this in the first movie though? But it's like, okay. I dig that. I dig that. That was dope. Yeah,
fun because she blowing up now. Like
yeah,
they didn't. And that's another thing too. They could have fleshed her out a little more too. Like I know they had and they do something with the pregnancy and they have something involved with the baby that I don't want to spoil. And just they needed to just I don't know. They just needed to flesh a lot of stuff out better. I don't know if the film needed to be longer or they could have cut down on Creed stuff a little more. But I know it had to still be a Creed movie.
yeah,
So it was good and I liked it. I even like what they did with Rocky and what they did with him. I enjoy a lot of that.
yeah.
Uh,
His character arc in this, I really enjoyed as well. I really appreciated it. I should say.
and it's not as powerful as last movie, but it's still pretty strong. So they bring, well, they basically do a nice call back to Rocky Balboa, which I like.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's the thing. You know what I'll say? This is a better version, but has the same kind of structural problems that Southpaw had. Remember Southpaw?
Well, I didn't see Southpaw, but you
Right.
reviewed it on well, I think it's in season one.
Right, the Jake Gyllenhaal vehicle. And that had the same issues where it's like, okay, you need to justify why you're doing X, Y, and Z better. Like you get it, but you need to flesh that out better and have the audience breathe and establish this better. And it dies where the movie falls short. It's not a failure by any stretch of the imagination. I actually still like this movie a lot. But it just, I don't know, it needed a better edit. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
What
All
about
right.
you, John?
So what I would say is that yes, as this is a sequel to such a great movie, they really did have a lot to going on here. They really had a lot to live up to, right? For one thing, keeping the momentum of Creed, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, kind of justifying four. So it's not like that one film that people kind of regard as this kind of cult classic. It's like, because it was in 85 and, Rocky was a superhero then. So we wouldn't put it in the same category as, say, Rocky 5, where it's like utter garbage, right? But people
No, no,
still kind
no.
of like Rocky 4. People like it. Like, I look at it as it's a throwback movie. It's cheesy,
Right.
but it has the best training montage ever in a movie. I don't care what nobody say. That show has the
Right.
best training montage ever. Just Rocky in the snow training
Right.
with the hogs, and Dolph Lundgren just doing that punch. And of
Yeah.
course, when it ends with Rocky running up that mountain saying Drago, Drago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Excellent. But it's excellent. He says that this is so 80s, shit. It
Right.
just oozes in the 80s, but that's why I love it, huh? But I think that's the thing about the movie, why I like it. It's 80s cheese, boy, but it's my 80s cheese. But with Creed 2 here now, they just had to live up to so much, right? And then, but as you were saying, you were a little worried, with Ryan Coogler stepping away from the directing chair. I think that if he was involved, like as director, this would have played out a lot better. Um,
Uh, well, you don't know. I mean, yeah, again, it kind of hard to call because I still think the direction was solid.
yeah,
In
it
this,
is. But I just think,
but, again,
well,
my thing
all
is
right,
the edit. That's what I wanted to say. Now. I thought the direction was solid, and I thought this guy did a great job. Because again, I was worried about the blocking wouldn't be as good or the scenes wouldn't play out as well. But no, I thought Bianca and Creed and Douglas had great chemistry scenes, some great moments.
yeah, yeah,
The scene played out quite well. It flowed quite well. I thought. Especially involving her not hearing a certain sentence, a certain statement. And I love that. I love what they did with that.
right,
In the story now.
yeah.
And then the whole stuff with her music and her career. I liked a lot of that. They bring back the mother. That is what's her name by Cosby.
Yeah,
Rashida. Oh yeah.
Phyllis Rashad.
Oh yeah. Uh yeah. A lot of that this stuff worked, and they could have fleshed out her and Creed more. And I get into these arguments all the time of whether or not characters make justifiably irrational decisions as opposed to just dumb irrational decisions that just come across as dumb writing or bad writing. And this was on the edge of that, where on the one end, I kind of understand where you're coming from and why he's doing what he's doing in terms of the ego and the pride stuff involving the father. On the
Yeah,
other end, they just make it, well, he's just a kind of douchebag and he's
yeah.
kind of.
You just kind of do it because he's a boxer and he must get angry and emotional at people.
Right.
So
That,
yeah,
that was kind of my issue with that. They could have, because he does come across like a whiny kind of brat in that sense, though.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
could,
I would agree with you with that.
right.
There's a couple of
But then,
the choices or decisions,
right.
I should say, did not really
And
play out.
that's the thing is whether or not, and it boils down to whether or not how charitable you're willing to be towards the character and the writing for that. But for me, I had a big problem with it, and it's a difficult argument to suss out because some people could watch the exact same decision making and say, no, this character is a whiny, annoying brat and a shitty writing. On the other hand, a person could say, no, that makes perfect sense in terms of his characterization because how he went through with the father, blah, 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 blah. And he should have let that go from a long time and so on, so forth. Maybe. I don't know. But the thing is, they just didn't flesh it out enough for you to pick one or the other. So it just ended up coming across like kind of weak characterization on his part, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
right.
But I could have seen a slightly different film that could have made that fully justified
Yeah.
in terms of
No,
why you had to
no.
fight out and why you
Right.
had to do what you had to do.
Right. No, no. Why I say if Kugler was involved, right? Because yes, Stephen here have to fill this guy's shoes, right? And at times I felt as if that they were just looking at the first movie for reference. So it was like, all right, we have this moment of Bianca performing here. Oh, by the way, yes, it's Tessa Thompson's voice. In case you didn't know, yes, she can sing, right? In case you wondered, right? But
Yeah,
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 so you had to have that moment with her performing, right, at the club. Then you had to have the moment with her and Adonis together, that shot of them lying on the floor, you know what I mean? So it feels
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't want to say that they recycle beats, but it almost like okay, we trying to replicate what worked. Like we don't really have a formula. Like the formula itself is the usual Rocky shit, right? But we're talking about okay, what made Creed great, the first Creed. And it's almost like they were just trying to kind of figure out, all right, well, so we need to have this moment and that moment and that moment. And it almost feels like, okay, well, we need to do this, but let's instead, what they should have done is just think about, okay, how do these scenes really function the story, or how long do these scenes play out? Like I do agree with you, the editing is one of the weakest points of the show, because yes, they
Right.
try to do a lot, right? They try to have the moments with these
And
characters, like
what I
case
mean
in
by
point
the
with
editor,
Rocky and Adonis quarreling. You
right?
have the
No,
scene with
and
the mother, but
so to be clear,
it's either
to be
they
clear,
don't play out as long enough for you to understand where the characters come from. You don't
right,
develop things a lot further, or it's just
right,
short enough to say, okay, well, they had that scene with the mother in the house. Okay, now we get to the next scene. You have that
right,
scene with Wood Harris in the gym. Okay, cool. Now we go into
right.
the next scene. That's how it felt like to me.
I know, and to be clear, what I mean by the edit is the structural edit I'm talking about. Just the whole film and as a whole, how to tell the story and where to put what.
Right.
But the
Yeah,
editing
I understand.
overall it's fine. Like in terms of where the scenes, not like it was bad in that sense. Structural edit, um, a knock it. And you're right in that sense of, well, okay, what you need to do to focus on what and where, they should have changed up. Like, personally, I'd have probably cut out almost all the Rocky stuff in this. Like, if you're doing a Creed movie, have it really focus on Creed and have it just be
I may have
Rocky.
to not argue, but I will say why I think it's there in the movie. But
Yeah.
continue.
Right. Okay. So I kind of get why it's there in the movie because it had a workable parallel fatherhood. You could say to make the argument and in context with him, Drago, Creed, right? I kind of get that, but it just didn't gel with the flow. Because to me, if you're doing a Creed story, have it flow around Creed and have it revolve around him. And the movie just wanted to do too many other things, and it just couldn't tie together the way they should have, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And I
that
don't.
that
And
that
I have to
that's the thing. That's you hit it right there, and hit the nail on the head there. It tries to do a lot to the point that it almost kind of forgets at times. It's
Yeah.
about Adonis Creed. Let it be
You're
about
right.
him. Michael
Right.
B. Jordan could hold a movie together. Don't worry, Stallone could be in the background, but I'm just saying forget about him altogether. But let
Yeah.
Michael be front and center. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I agree with you.
Uh,
But into the Sylvester Stallone thing, and this is like a little setup that little hint that I got before watching Creed 2 is that a Instagram video came out. This was during the um one of the production days of Creed 2, right? This is where they were doing the training at night. You had the oh gosh, this is where Creed was training in the desert.
yeah.
And there's a moment where they stop and and Sylvester Stallone was saying about he's been doing this character for years. He thought that when he did Rocky Balboa, that was it. But now with Michael B. Jordan, I'm passing the torch. The mantle has been passed
Right.
on to him. So a lot of people hint at it as okay, well, this is the last time clearly that we're gonna see Rocky in a movie. That's clearly the message, right? So while I was looking at this movie here, Creed, I was thinking about it like, all right, this is gonna be the last time that we see Rocky here. So he had a kind of end of his arc, right? And I pretty much liked how they ended it. It's not in a glorious fashion because like his character is just kind of humble and down to it anyway. So I loved how they
Right.
ended his arc now. But I was thinking, oh well, maybe they could take the whole the cancer that he had from before and amplify that, and maybe he might be in the deathbed and stuff like that.
No, no,
Thankfully, they
no. I don't
don't do
like.
that, but
No.
yeah, so I was thinking more like, okay, well, yes, it is Creed. It does involve Creed and living up to his father's name and whatnot, but we still had to sneak in that Rocky stuff because last time we're gonna see Rocky, so we kind of had to have him
What?
and Adonis, you know, not see eye to eye about the situation, and then they come back and the formula comes in. You know what I mean? If you've seen these
Right.
movies before, so they had to do it one last time because this is the last time we're gonna see Stallone. I felt this is how they play the movie out there, but I felt that yes, I get, I understand, and okay, yes, Stallone co-wrote the film. Okay, I understand that. Yes, without Rocky, you wouldn't have Creed, but still, is a sequel, man. I mean,
Right.
let me have more Creed, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But and again, I just don't, I still don't hate this film. I don't really. In fact, I'm not even bending over backwards to defend it or anything like that. But and I only saying, I know I only making it out like if it's looking bad, but I just saying the flaws. The strengths of the film are very good. The fights are good. Again, they could have do more stuff with Drago, and because to me, when they bring in, I think that was Bridget Nielsen, right?
Yes, it was her. And I was like, holy shit, they
Yeah.
bring she in this soup.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, she's mother. That make real sense. Like that make perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then they do the.
But that's the stuff with the mother stuff, right? This is kind of like a flaw as well, but it's kind of like a strength as well. Right. So especially with the moments with the Dragos, right? There's usually scenes where nothing is being said. You might see like a shot, you might see a character do something, but they don't
Yeah.
actually stop and say this is how the character thinks and feels. So I
No, no,
like
I
that
get.
about the show, like especially with the last fight where a certain
Yeah.
action will take place, or a certain character would look a certain way or do something,
Yeah, no, I get
and
all
you
that.
get the message right there. But I felt that they
Yeah.
did it a little too much with the
No,
Dragos themselves.
guys, my thing is that okay, that stuff I didn't mind, but they need to flesh that out better.
Of
I don't
course,
know
yeah,
how.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Right, and
And
it's
for
not.
one thing, well, sorry to cut you there again, because I was really intrigued by what was going on with them. Like, I really
Right.
felt it for not just for
Yeah,
Ivan,
exactly.
I really felt for Ivan, but Victor as well too.
No, I say they could have fleshed that out in terms of pushing that premise.
Yeah,
So
just a couple minutes again, or just take out a scene
yeah,
with Rocky or
those
a scene with Creed,
guys who are
and
scared,
just
they could
put
have
a
taken a
little
little.
bit of Drago. Really make us understand why we should care about it. Because at the
Right.
point in time, like even before they confront each other, I was kind of sided with Victor. It's like I get where
Yeah.
this man coming from, but still, I had to look at you as a bad guy, though. So
Right.
maybe with a little bit more development, especially on Dolph Lundgren's end, because yes, he was sympathetic, yes, but I wanted to see and hear more. I find that he didn't really say that much though, which I
Right.
guess kind of works with Ivan's character because he don't really say much. He'll say, "If he dies, he dies. I will break you." You know what I mean? Whatever. But it's
No, but
all the Ivan have him say something. You know what I mean?
yeah, that was saying they could have sit that down and flesh it out. I don't know. The movie needed a better focus, and not in terms of that you're focusing on certain things, but you should just like they could have sacrificed certain things and then focus on other things a little more, and I would probably enjoy it a little more. Didn't hate
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah. But
just
but
gonna
what I
rate it
would
now.
just say though before we get to it, what I would say though is that it tries to be a Creed sequel. It tries to be a Rocky sequel. It tries to be uh more or less kind of justifying Rocky 4. So it's trying to do a lot. Like it has a lot on its plate, right? However, though, just like you, I will not say that the movie is a failure. I actually
Oh,
enjoyed it
no.
way more than I expected. Yes, the directing is strong, the acting is superb across the board. Even from newcomer Florian Montano, I think that's how he pronounced his name. He the guy who plays Victor. Wanted to see more of him, like more of him speak, but just his presence alone was just enough to sell me with his character. Really felt it for Dolph Lundgren. You know, who would have thought this douchebag like Ivan Drago had a care about. Um, and just the other side characters, whether it be Felicia Rashad, Tessa Thompson, who I thought was excellent in this. You know what I mean? Michael B. Jordan once again comes with a solid performance. Same thing with Sylvester Stallone, and I just love where both acts end. The editing is spotty, especially with the passage of time. I felt that they could have tweaked that a lot better. And like we were talking about before, is how certain things play out, especially with character development, and decisions made and whatnot. But I still, oh yes, and one other flaw I really had. I know we keep talking about flaws. The music, because I was telling myself,
Um,
wait, Ludwig did
I
the music for this because the music in the first one was so boisterous and so majestic. There, this one is kind of subdued. It's more like kind of indecisive, kind of like not really sure when to come out. But is when Adonis make that right decision. That's when it springs up, and that's where you hit in the montage, and it didn't have that same sort of emotional punch that his music was in the first one, but it still does its job. I would say that much. And Mike Will made it, by the way, who did the soundtrack for this, which is in my to listen list. He did a little bit of music on the side as well. So the little bits that he did was cool. I was surprised when I heard Jaden Smith's Icon. I was like, this is like the perfect song to play for this, because that's like the only
Yeah.
Jaden Smith song that I fuck with. But anyway, but yeah, there is a lot of good in this movie, and I would say that this is a solid sequel. But no, it's not better than the first one. But then when you look at it now, when you really think about it, you kind of you kind of expect that it would not live up to that level anyway. It could have, I guess, but once again, it's this movie basically trying to justify Rocky 4 and why it exists, right? It takes bits and pieces from Rocky 2, one particular scene involving an engagement. That's all. Sorry, a proposal, a wedding
Yeah.
proposal. That's all I'll say. So it's like Rocky 2 meets Rocky 4 meets Creed. It's like those three movies mixed together,
Yeah.
but with a better focus. It could have been something way more, something better. But I still enjoy this. I still appreciate this, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to be in my top 18. It would be in my top 10 for sure, but I really want to acknowledge this as one of the better movies I've seen this year. I don't want to put this as an honorable mention. I think that'll be like a crime, because I think they did a solid job. It's just, once again,
Yeah.
you're trying to reach far as sequels go, but you're not always gonna you're not always gonna reach it. They tried, they were shooting for the stars, but they just didn't quite reach it there. But in no way would I say that this was a squandered effort. I think this is a decent, if not great movie. And last thing I'll say is, and you may argue with me for this, I think it stands on its own as just being its own thing. You know what I mean? Even though even though it borrows from those three movies I mentioned before, it does a fair enough job to just stand on its own as just a Creed movie.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, what is your rating?
Ratings. I want to get us. I'll get us a high movie tone. Um, not the brilliance of the first film, in my opinion, but still good. And it could have just a couple of quick tweaks here or there would have put it above what I wanted it to be. But as it is, it's just kind of hard to justify in terms of pacing and whatnot.
Yeah. I will give this a lighter, decent 4, man. I think that it is a solid sequel. I want to buy Creed as soon as possible, but if this comes as a double pack, this reminds me a lot like Deadpool 2. Like, I wanted to like Deadpool 2 more, but it was reaching for that gold star, but it just missed it slightly. You know what I mean? So it feels like both, but just like with Deadpool 2, I wouldn't mind buying Creed 2 as like some sort of combo pack or something like that. If I could get the first and second movie together, cool. And last thing I'll say, well, as far as future sequels go, I'm not seeing hope. I would like to think that this is the end of the Rocky franchise for good. Like the way how the story stops, I think that this is like a
Right.
great way to just end things off.
Right.
If we're gonna see Sylvester Stallone again in the future, I don't know. But I just kind of, I don't know. I just don't think that making a sequel would make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, where else can you go except campy, right? I mean, look at Rocky 3. Great movie, but very campy in terms of just the 80s aesthetic. But I think it should just stop here, man. I mean, it did what it's supposed to do, but it's Hollywood, so if this Creed 2 makes a ton of cash, yeah, we might get a sequel, but I think they should just stop it, because, while it's not a perfect way to end the series off, if this is the absolute end, I think this is a solid enough way to end it off, you know what I mean? So, that's all I have to say.